So even I am also eager to listen Vinay ji on that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dhanyavad Ojas ji. Now is the time to launch the website of the ISDS, which is already in shape, wherein different courses have already been uploaded. I request Professor Nidhi Dixit to kindly guide us through the website.
Thank you, Piyush. So after the logo launch, we have our website launch, and we were fortunate enough to give you a glimpse of the website, where we have some of our e-courses launched. And we were very honored to do a program for National Institute of Urban Affairs for the government department, and we could successfully deliver it to 120 participants from town planning departments and government municipalities, and these were delivered from May onwards. So it was the first of its kind e-learning program for the government. Thank you so much. Over to Piyush.
Thank you so much, Nidhi ma'am. Now it's time to felicitate those who have supported ISDS. I request Honorable Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe to kindly felicitate the Chairman of Maharshi Karve Stri Shikshan Samstha, Ravindra Dev sir, who has been supporting the concept of ISDS from day one. It is just a small token of gratitude from the team of ISDS. I request Dr. Vinay sir to kindly felicitate the Vice Chairman of Maharshi Karve Stri Shikshan Samstha, Srimati Vidya Kulkarni ji. And as a token of gratitude from the team ISDS, we also would like to felicitate Professor Dr. Kashyap sir for being the main incubator of the ISDS. I request Professor Asmita Joshi ji and Vinay ji to kindly felicitate Anurag Kashyap sir. It is a small token of gratitude from all of us juniors for all the seniors to have supported our idea. And without taking much time, I would like to invite Honorable Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe sir to kindly guide us and share his thoughts on sustainability as well as the occasion.
The chairman of the Maharshi Karve Stri Shikshan Samstha, my good old friend Shri Ravi Devji, Vice Chairman, and again a colleague during our student movement, Vidya Kulkarni ji, the expert who has come here from Ahmedabad to guide us all through the proceedings, very well known architect Ojas Bhai, Ojas Hirani ji, the director of the parent institute, Anurag Kashyap ji, and here is another Anurag who is known for creativity, I must say. So Anurag Kashyap ji, Asmita ji, Seema Kamble ji, many others associated with this great institution for a very long time, and of course the young and enthusiastic Piyush Kirgaonkar and friends. It's an honor to be here at the very launch of this Institution of Sustainability and Development Studies. I mean, when the institution's sustainability itself is in danger at times somewhere else, you are starting an institution for sustainability. It's something very, very great and very remarkable, and I must congratulate the Maharshi Karve Stri Shikshan Samstha. And I believe, at least whatever understanding I have, this must be the first of its kind Institute of Sustainability. And Asmita ji, compliments to you. I'm afraid if this goes on like this, the United Nations people would rather have you there at the United Nations headquarters. So let this institute also be sustainable with your presence and guidance over here, but I must congratulate and commend all your efforts. मी पियुषला असं म्हणत होतो की आपल्या महाराष्ट्रातला हा सगळा उपक्रम आहे तर खरं म्हणजे मराठीतून व्हायला पाहिजे, कारण शेवटी भाषेची पण एक सस्टेनेबिलिटी असतेच ना. आणि स्वतः पंतप्रधान मातृभाषेवर खूप भर देतात. आपणही देशी भाषा जिवंत राहायच्या असतील तर त्या ज्ञानभाषा झाल्या पाहिजेत याचा पुरस्कार करतो. पण ही संस्था आंतरराष्ट्रीय आकांक्षा बाळगणारी आहे आणि आत्ता आपला कार्यक्रम चालू असताना सुद्धा काही जण विदेशातून हा कार्यक्रम बघतायत असं मला सांगण्यात आलं आहे आणि त्यामुळे मी नियमाला धरून पुन्हा इंग्रजीतून बोलण्याचा प्रयत्न करतो आहे. As I said, this is a very commendable initiative and the first of its kind. But while the initiative is really very commendable, I am aware, rather I am very sure that the people who must have conceived this idea and who have now taken the responsibility of enriching the institutional life here and especially the knowledge, because the education of sustainability, the knowledge dissemination about sustainability is a difficult terrain. It's not very easy to preach sustainability because sustainability is like God. It is omnipresent. I mean, the thought of sustainability, at every other occasion you will have to think of whatever I am doing, is it sustainable? Am I following the rules and regulations of sustainability? Whatever am I doing, is that contributing to sustainability or harming sustainability? So every now and then these kinds of questions are going to crop in the minds of people who are in it and who are kind of observers. They are watching what kind of things are you doing in the name of sustainability. For United Nations, in a way, it was easy comparatively. First of all, to talk of development goals and Millennium Development Goals from where the discourse started, and later on rename them and present the same goals, having realized that they cannot be achieved by the dawn of new millennia, and therefore they said, okay, come on, still the work is unfinished, and therefore we should call it as Sustainable Development Goals. Fair enough. But setting the goals is one thing, and walking the talk is a different thing. And here, in an institution of this kind, where there are students, there are teachers who must be having certain expectations from the institution, and of course who would be watching the way institution itself conducts its own affairs in the context of sustainability, it is really easier said than done. But that doesn't mean that one should refrain from taking a plunge. Plunge you have already taken. Now to sustain this journey in a meaningful manner and to carry the message of sustainability and to hold the flag of sustainability and keep it fluttering, it's something definitely a challenge. I am very sure that you are all conscious of this. Because as it happens, anything about sustainability, and sustainability, as I understand, I am not a student of science, much less a student of environmental science though, but the term sustainability, I believe, was coined because perhaps, I don't know, I am afraid and I suspect that when terms like environmental considerations, eco-friendliness and similar such terms were found to be a little too extreme, the term perhaps people who might have thought of it, and correct me if I am wrong, Asmita ji, people must have thought of the term of sustainability. Because sustainability takes care of environment, and the human beings who are using that environment. It is not just for environment. It is environment for the human beings, if I may define it that way. I hope I am not too off the right definition of the whole thing. And therefore here the necessities for human beings of the human beings to conduct their day-to-day life have been taken into consideration. And therefore they are not saying don't do this, don't do this. Whatever you do, do it and ensure that it is sustainable, which means that you should be able to continue with it for a very long time. Dharana kshamata is what is sustainability. Something which you can continue with it. Environmental considerations are ideal. And maybe all of us certainly cannot every now and then think about environment, because our life will then have several problems. But when you talk of sustainability, there is some compromise which we have already accepted with the higher standards of ecology, environment, and the protection of ecology and environment as well. And even then, so we are already one step below, in a way, on the ladder, but still the problems are there. Because as I appreciate, as I understand, as anybody would be able to gather, there are three critical challenges. One is inertia. Generally we brush off these things that ठीक है, environmental वो तो बोलना ही होता है. I mean, it's politically correct to talk about environmental considerations, ecology, sustainability. It gives you that extra kind of I mean, you can cover that extra mile by talking about all these, I mean, taking these terms every now and then, because it's only about talking, it is not about walking. That is how people consider that you can definitely take that liberty. And there is some kind of an inertia. And behind this inertia also there is some kind of weird thinking as well. I remember George Fernandes, a very well-known politician of the yesteryears, had once famously said that environmental and ecological considerations are a luxury for a country like India. So that was the view of a socialist leader like George Fernandes. I'm sure Mr. Fernandes must have changed his views later. But yes, at a certain point of time, he was considering that ecology and environmental considerations are a luxury for a country like India. In a way, that also reflects some kind of inertia. We are taking a caveat. I mean, we are already kind of saying that, oh, fine, you please don't judge us from that standards because we are Indians. Something of that kind. And we are a developing country. We have several challenges. There is poverty, there is lack of education, this and that. And therefore, somebody considered it was a luxury. But again, I would say it was the manifestation of the basic inertia amongst us to think about environmental considerations. Secondly, there is some amount of impracticality. Because every now and then you cannot, perhaps, now if somebody, we are talking about, please don't consider as a harsh kind of a commentary on this, but if some environmental or ecological activist tomorrow comes over here and conducts sustainability audit of this very building, I am sure he will have several reasons to find fault with, perhaps. So, certain things are very, very impracticable for that matter. And then, with the passage of time, certain things are becoming irrelevant also. I believe those bright minds who must have conceived the idea of sustainability must have taken into consideration all these three things. That there is some basic human inertia, there is some amount of impracticality, and there is some amount of irrelevance as well, which one will have to consider while talking about environmental and ecological considerations. And there are umpteenth number of examples one can give. As I said, for the United Nations, it was very easy to club all the, how many? 17. 17 sustainability development goals. I must mention here that the Institute is smart enough to pick only 6 of them, which is good. In a way, it is, again, it speaks of your appreciation of your own sustainability. Because we cannot take everything into consideration, we will focus only on these 6. But even then, challenges continue, and majority of the challenges emanate from the kind of lifestyles that we have. Let's take an example. Now today, everybody is talking about private space, individuality, personal choice, and things like that. And now these are, in a way, considered as modern human values. And I am sure United Nations must have produced some sermons on these as well, which goes, I mean, it's a part of the discourse globally today. So if you are talking about individuality, personal space, personal choice, then naturally it prohibits any amount of sharing. Let's take the example of our own homes today. In a certain class of people today, they have maybe 2 or 3 bedroom hall kitchen, and in every bedroom there is a different television set, because the boys want their choices to be played on the television, and the senior citizens have their own choices. Now we respect individuality, we respect personal choice. Boss, what happens to sustainability? Do we require so many television sets? Are we going to afford so much of use of electricity, which is some kind of a precious and limited source of energy? So all these issues are there. But then what happens to individuality if you are compelling us to listen to or watch the same television program, which maybe at times the younger generation may not like, or at times the older generation may not want to? So dilemmas are there. At every other step there are dilemmas. And what is required perhaps, and I am venturing to offer this suggestion, because generally speaking I understand that people who are not irresponsible, let's understand, people are not irresponsible, they don't want to be irresponsible, but they just cannot find the ways and means to accommodate the demands of sustainability while continuing with their day-to-day struggle for their life. And therefore they require to be guided about. I am sure at certain point of time, or even during the deliberations or after the deliberations, the institute may well can think about coming out with some kind of a sustainability code of conduct for an individual. At least give maybe 50 suggestions that if you follow them, chances are that the earth will be sustainable perhaps. Today there is nothing like that. I mean, people go either at this extreme or at that extreme. We are not hermits. We cannot go into the forest, and I don't know what happens if everybody tries to go to the forest, what happens to the sustainability of the forest themselves. We have to, whether we want it or not, but we have to live in this cement concrete jungle, and we know the hazards of it. But what can we do? So in a situation like this, lest the sense of helplessness captures our mind and we say, oh, we cannot do it, and it's all about talking and not about walking, and it's, if we want people not to draw, it is our duty to provide them with some equipment, something like, as I said, some code of conduct. Not only that, I would also suggest that within the 17 goals, there are overlaps and there are gaps as well. I am sure the United Nations must have already appreciated them. But if we can try to find out some synergy areas and focus on them, that would also be one of the important assignments which perhaps we can complete. Lastly, I would also say that over a period of time, whether the institution can set the goal before itself to become a certifying agency for sustainability